Welcome back to a very fun and vivid edition of In the Know. Just because, prepare yourself, folks. We'll talk about relationships. Now, I know that in our society, men and women are so busy with their careers, and I get it. It's what, money makes the world go round, so you have to really focus on your career. But at the end of the day, money doesn't buy you happiness. I think personally, this is just me talking, that my happiness comes from a deeper power, a more meaningful power. Also, it comes in with loving relationships.
Yeah,
it just does. That's what when you're genuinely happy, it's because you're in a positive, happy, fulfilling relationship. It fulfills you in every aspects imaginable. Yeah. Okay. With that said, I'm going to bring in our guest, Donna Weitzman. She is the author of Sex and the Siren and Cinderella has Cellulite. Interesting title. Welcome.
Hey, Brian. How are you?
Okay. For one thing, when I saw you in the lobby, I did not hide my feelings for you. I said you looked gorgeous in that purple dress and the scarf thing. You got it going on today.
Well, actually, I look like an Easter egg.
Then you know what?
I think you like Easter eggs.
I'm a bunny then. No, you look very pretty.
That's better than a jackrabbit.
That is true. That is true. Okay, you've got a couple books out, and we'll get to that in just a second. But you are an author. You're a dating expert, a relationship expert. You're an ex-mayor, which I found that out and thought that was very interesting. And I could have a whole nother show about being a mayor in a U.S. city. But give me an idea of just all the things that you do.
Just how this got started?
Yes.
Well, how it got started is I wrote, first of all, I got a divorce in my 50s and moved from Colleyville, where I was mayor, to Dallas, Texas, and started dating. And the trauma of dating, as we all know, and I think the older you get, it can be more traumatic because you're set in your ways and, have had a lot of life
But you know what you want, though, right?
I wasn't traumatized?
No, but you know what you want when you're older in life.
You just want. I'm not for sure you know what you want.
Okay.
You think you know what you want,
right.
but you got to get out there and find out what's out there.
Gotcha.
So it was pretty traumatic and a lot of fun, a lot of drama, traumatic, and once again exciting. And so then I met my Prince Charming and remarried and wrote the first book, Cinderella Has Cellulite. And that's about dating when you're older and possibly remarrying or not.
And this thing was top 14 on Amazon.
Yeah, I hit number 14 on Amazon and in relationships. It's also sold all over the world. It's got sold in 6 languages. It's been written for a movie and also has now a television script.
And you met your husband in the lobby of a building.
When I moved from Colleyville, which is more rural and suburban, I moved to Dallas, and number one, went to a high-rise because, number one, I didn't want to have a yard, but number two, I knew it was a good way to meet people.
There you go. And it happened right there in the lobby.
And I met him in the lobby of that building.
Now, when you saw him, did you know that that's my future husband?
Absolutely not.
You didn't?
No. We had a very tumultuous relationship.
Oh, okay. Who said hi to who first?
Actually, a friend introduced us, which is a great way to meet people.
Okay.
Because, you have some background with the same friends and that sort of thing.
Gotcha. Okay. So, take me through this whole... Look, relationships are complicated. And am I accurate that most people define happiness in relationships, not necessarily their jobs? Even though I think men, bear with me for a second, I think men, their career defines them. Women use relationships to define who they are. So if a relationship goes south, they feel like their identity has been changed some. If a guy's relationship goes south, it's okay because his career defines who he is. Am I right or wrong on that?
Well, I think you were more correct decades ago.
Okay.
Women are getting a new identity. You mentioned it earlier. Mm-hmm. And I think now women's careers often define them. And it's harder, it's become harder, and it's harder and harder.
Which I think is okay, by the way. I'm not saying that it's
We're not judging it one way or the other. I certainly think I had a lot of career leftovers when I met my new husband, now 8 years ago. And I think that was one reason it was hard for us to come together in a relationship, because I was traveling all over the world. I had a job that took me to lots of foreign countries, and I felt very independent.
Okay, and did he like that?
I think he did, because his wife had passed, but she was very independent too. So I think he sort of grew older on those kinds of things.
But I think a lot of men are threatened
Definitely.
by a professional woman.
Definitely.
With a career woman.
Yes, and career women actually sometimes now can be threatened by men because they want to move up. And so, if their husband's highly successful and maybe they're trying to be successful, there can be a little envy and a little jealousy there.
Donna Weitzman joining us in the studio, author, dating expert, and just, I think, a woman of tremendous knowledge. I want to just have you on the show every day if I could. Okay, you've got the books. Very different themes here. Sex and the Siren.
Aha.
Take me through this.
That's my second book. It's a follow-up to Cinderella, but it is very different. It's about, again, dating when you're older, not necessarily remarrying, but there's a lot of trends in it, talking about younger men dating older women, which is becoming more and more popular all the time.
Is there an age, how much older?
Well, it seems to be, once the woman is 8 years older than the man, then it gets to be sort of a different relationship. But we're seeing, or I'm seeing and reading a lot about, say, man in his 40s marrying a woman in her early 50s.
Interesting. I know that you've always heard about a guy in his 50s and early 60s even dating someone in the early 20s.
Right.
And the joke has been your wife's not even born yet.
Yeah.
Your future wife's not even born yet, which is just disturbing on so many levels. Do you still see that a lot? Younger women going after older guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Age has become almost a non-factor in dating. And I write in both of my books, I have a chapter and I named them the same thing because they're so important. And the names of the chapter are Cougars and Kittens. So the cougar is the older woman dating a younger man. And of course, the kitten is the younger woman dating the much older man. And I have to tell a personal story here. When I was interviewing for my first book, I was interviewing a man of great means, money-wise. And he was dating women sometimes 40 years younger than him. And I said to this man, I won't mention his name, but I said to this man, don't you understand why they're dating you? Don't you know?
I love it. You're that direct.
Oh, of course. Yes, I'm very direct. And I said, why are you going out with these women so much younger than you? Don't you know why they're dating you? And he said, yes. And I was so shocked. I said, well,
wow.
Doesn't that bother you? And he said, no, at my age, I have to offer them something.
Hey, at least she's being truthful.
There you go. It was perfect. So I understood it from there on.
There you go. Well, long as... But she's, at the end of the day, she and him have to,
right.
Yeah, yeah. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back, continue this conversation. Just how relationships have changed over the years and perhaps how work is putting a stress on everything. Plus, there's a new terminology. Is it fubbing?
Fubbing.
Fubbing. I'm not familiar with it. I hope it's family friendly. We'll talk about that when we come back. Stick around. Oh, we are having too much fun. I kind of wish there was a show within the show. I just described a situation to Donna that's a whole entire show, what I just described to you.
I agree.
Yeah. Anyway, Donna Weitzman joins us. She's an author. She's a dating expert. We're going to talk about these two books, but first, there's a new phenomenon called flubbing.
Fubbing.
Fubbing. I don't even know what flubbing is. Fubbing. What is fubbing?
Fubbing, P-H-U-B-B-I-N-G, fubbing, and it's phone partner snubbing.
Okay.
So it's snubbing your partners by using your smartphone.
Okay, I think a joke, and I think I saw this on the internet, a couple's in bed, and they're both just, instead of looking at each other and maybe whatever, they're just on their phones. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a common scene around the country.
Yeah, or restaurant tables, in bed, on the couch, in cars.
Why is this? Why have we gone to this level?
Well, for one thing, we're addicted to our cell phones. Cell phone addiction is a mainline addiction now. In fact, there are addiction treatment centers for cell phone usage.
Hey, Dave, check me in real quick. I need to have a week off.
It's going to be a big business.
A lot of people I know should get checked into that.
Well, a lot of people can't give up Wi-Fi. There have been surveys that said, would you rather give up sex or Wi-Fi? And they go, well, see you later.
Same thing with phones. Would you have a guess how many times a day the average American checks their cell phone?
Well, I had an app on my phone called Phone Ninja, I believe, and I checked it 123 times a day.
Well, you're behind. The average is 150 times a day, every 7.5 minutes.
And it checks and gives you a status of how many times you unlocked your phone.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
So it's hard to have a meal or a conversation now without checking your phone because you're addicted. It's sort of like, an alcoholic has to have a glass of wine at dinner or whatever. But it's become a real problem. It's a relationship killer over time because the person that's getting fubbed, which we have termed the fubbee, and by the way, fubbing's been around for about 5 years now, the word. It was started by
fub with me.
It was started by
fub you up.
by a PR firm or an advertising firm
Sure
in California.
They all start out there.
But if you're the fubbie and you're being fubbed, then it makes you angry. It makes you feel rejected. It makes you depressed. And so if someone does this to you all the time and you don't fub back, you're sitting there sort of like them reading a book at dinner. You're just sort of looking at them and feeling rejected.
And I think kids recognize it as well.
It's a real problem for mothers and fathers with their kids because especially young kids when their mothers are on the cell phone all the time or on the smartphone and the kids are wanting to talk. So it's a relationship killer because it's a conversation killer.
I'll even go as far as pets, to be honest with you. I think people probably have less interaction with their pets because they're on their phone.
Well, they just have less interaction with everything.
With everything.
And we talked about this earlier before the show. When you have a relationship with your phone, which we all do, it's a secretive relationship. And you mentioned people turn it face down because they don't want other people to see.
It really bugs me when you go to a dinner, a meeting, social engagements, and people turn their phone upside down.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you trying to hide from me? What could possibly pop up on your phone that you don't want me to see? And
what do you feel at that time when they turn it down? Do you feel rejected and snubbed, or do you feel mad or upset or angry?
I don't really get mad. I just get like they don't trust me, or they're trying to hide something.
Yeah, so it's a bad feeling.
It's a bad feeling. Absolutely. It's a negative feeling.
And so imagine if they're talking on their phone the whole time, that's just as bad of a feeling. But then if they talk on their phone and lay it face down, then you think they're talking to maybe another. If you're lovers or friends or whatever, you think maybe they've got another lover on the phone.
But I will say this: for the longest time, I did not have a password on my cell phone, only because I think it's a pain in the butt to have to 150 plus times put your stupid PIN number in there. And then companies said, "Hey, I had a company that required you to have a password because there's a lot of sensitive information on that."
Right.
Do you suggest that the partners, your significant other, should have the password to your phone and be able to check it?
If you want to trust each other.
Okay.
But then that becomes really tricky because the person checking, the person that's being checked, they can lose respect for the person that's checking on them because you think they don't trust you, and trust is a real issue in a relationship.
I can see that.
So it's very tricky. The cell phone, the smartphone has caused lots and lots of problems. In fact, there have been for many years 3 reasons for divorce, 3 main reasons. First one being money, second one being sex, third one being kids.
Okay, money, sex, kids?
Kids. Now the fourth is cell phone.
It's cell phone.
That they built up resentment over time by their partner being addicted to the cell phone.
Okay, your book, Sex and the Siren, it's about, older dating, right?
Yes.
When you say older,
Tales of a later dater.
What's older to you?
When I wrote it, I was thinking 50. But Sex and the Siren it's only been out 2 or 3 months now, and it did really well in January, and it actually is selling to lots of 40-year-olds.
I was going to say, I don't look at 50 as being old at all anymore.
Right. Well,
I'm right there. I'm knocking on the back door.
Yeah, you're qualified to read Sex and the Siren.
There you go. Just like that. How come I feel old all of a sudden like that? But so it's like, so you asked me earlier, and I'll be real careful how I answer this, about dating an older woman.
Yes.
And I said I would not be opposed to if I was in a situation where I could date an older woman.
A more mature woman.
A more mature woman. I don't mind. I don't know if there's an age cutoff on that. Now, granted, I think someone that might be in their 60s, obviously, I don't have a whole lot in common with somebody like that. Physically, I feel like I would want somebody to be able to keep up with me physically.
Right.
I'm just thinking, I don't want somebody with a hip replacement or something like that. I mean, I know it sounds bad, but I don't know. I see the trend. I kind of agree with you on that. But why do I think that? Why don't I want that 22-year-old college graduate?
Well, perhaps. I mean, there's lots of reasons. Perhaps you've been burned, by a younger woman. Perhaps that you want the maturity level, and maybe you're more mature than your age. Possibly, I'm not saying you are, but
you see the way I look right now.
The average person, and I think age is becoming less important. I mean, I know a gentleman in his 60s married to a 30-something-year-old, and they're happy. And so I think people are younger now. People, as you said, at 50, it's kind of the new 30 or whatever.
And for me, it's not much about the physical looks, to be honest with you.
It's all
not.
about the
It's
brain.
not. It's all about the brain. A girl could be a 6 or a 7, but if she has an outstanding personality and she's driven and she's funny and she's humorous, and then boom, she's a 10.
Well,
in my book, that's the way it goes.
The number one relationship enhancer, personality-wise, is humor. If you can have anything, people say number one, they like a mate or a friend or a lover with humor. And so, sometimes older women have a little bit, we've been through life and we've seen things and we're laughing at them, and that's kind of what my book does. It takes a humorous take on older relationships.
Okay, Cinderella has cellulite. Take me through this real quick.
Cinderella has cellulite. I wrote it after I married, as I said, because of the trauma of dating. And it talks about remarrying, and it's a satire. Both books are a satire, so they take a humorous look at dating and remarrying, or possibly not remarrying. And maybe the reasons that you don't remarry.
So you think sex in your later years are the best sex ever?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
I think that's all hyped up. Sex can be good at any age. It can also be bad at any age. And it's really in the eye of the beholder, as they say.
Yeah, it's true. In your different stages in your life, and it means something different.
Certainly, time is a problem for sex between two people, not having enough time. So obviously, when you get in your late 20s, 30s, and 40s, you're raising kids, and that's why kids are one of the reasons for divorce.
Okay, and so now you have 2 successful business people. Let's just say she's a CEO, he's a CEO, very competitive schedule. I say competitive schedule, very busy schedule that may compete with each other as far as time. They may not have time to see each other very often.
Right.
That wears down a relationship, does it not?
Unless they make appointments. And I know that sounds contrived, I know, but it works. It works. It's sort of like going out on a date. You make an appointment for a date.
Okay, yeah, I could see that.
So make an appointment for sex.
I only need about 5 minutes, honey. Between 10:35 and 10:40.
She won't be too excited.
Yeah, well, they may actually like that.
Well,
that's only
true.
5 minutes, too.
That's true.
Oh, my goodness. 4:40 on this absolutely gorgeous spring day. I mean, are you loving the weather?
Love it. Love it. Love it.
Yeah. Are you from North Texas?
Yes, I am. 5 generations. But this weather is great for having sex in a place not at your house.
Okay. In the break, I'd like for you to give me a rundown and how I can make that happen.
Like in the park?
Yeah, you gotta be real careful.
In a car.
In a car. There you go.
Mm-hmm. Top down.
Top down. There you go. I like the way she's thinking. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll continue this conversation. I want to really talk more about this next segment about the working professionals and just how you manage to keep a relationship together and kids. Because that's tough. It's tough. 4:41, stick around. All right, welcome back to the show. We'll get into how about 700 laid off General Motor workers will get their jobs back. Thank goodness. We heard this story back in the summertime when Trump went up there to Flint, Michigan, and did a little speech and rallied everybody, and everybody's hooping, hollering around. But they got their jobs back. We'll talk about that, and also how to book the best summer vacation for less money. That's what it's all about, right? Traveling more and spending less. We'll continue our conversation with Donna Weitzman. She is the author of Sex and the Siren and Cinderella Has Cellulite. That's my favorite title, by the way. Top 14 on Amazon. Made into television, movies, all that good stuff. It's a great script with this. Let's talk about the busy executive. You're a CEO of a company, you're a marketing director, you're whatever. Your schedule's tight. You don't have time to go out. You don't to meet people, so you go online. You do one of these dating apps, not Tinder. Let's just say Tinder's more of a direct hookup. Would you not agree?
Right.
That's pretty much. Or you hire a matchmaker. But how has it changed? Do you think it's harder now to really meet people than it was 20 years ago without the technology, when you really kind of met them face to face and you got to immediately find out who they were all about rather than digging through a profile and Facebook stalking somebody?
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know if it's harder or easier, but it's not any more successful.
There you go.
Because the person that uses online dating, which is growing all the time, and it's really growing for those of us out there that are over 60. I mean, it's growing exponentially for older daters. But what has been found, and actually there was a study just done by Baylor University about this, and they talked about the success in finding true love on online dating, and it has not helped with that at all. In fact, the divorce rate has stayed about the same. So the problem is, when you're online dating, and I'm not against it, I'm all for it, but I think you swipe left too much. I think we've become too picky. We have about a
Would
million.
you go left or right on me now? I'm putting you on the spot.
If you go left, on you?
Wait, yeah.
Oh, I'd go to the extreme right.
That's
Yeah,
good, right?
I'd break the bank.
There you go. Good.
For those of you out there, yeah.
Likewise.
But now that we've both paid each other compliments, let's go back to those people swiping left. Now, women especially swipe left a lot before they give a guy a chance. And I heard you say earlier in the show that it's easier to get to know people because they lay it all out in front of you. Well, sometimes they lay it out in front of you, but it's a lot of lies. So you can't always trust everybody on online dating, and that is one of the worst problems with it.
I've always said with social media that their Facebook profile and their statuses all the time, and I've been very open on this show. I battle with depression. I talk about depression. I think everybody battles with depression.
Certainly sometime in their life.
And it could be just through the anxiety of not really reaching the goals that you have set for. I mean, not negative depression, just something that motivates you. And I think people can get caught up in the Facebook statuses of the world of traveling and doing all this great stuff, but deep down inside, they're a completely different person.
Well, and also you feel like a failure. If you send your profile page out to, let's say, I don't know, whatever, and 100 women look at it and swipe left, it's not going to make you feel real good.
No, I can see that.
And
yeah.
so, you almost have a phantom.
Do you get a report of how many people declined you?
I don't know, but if you don't get any hits to the right, you certainly know.
Can you tell if people's viewed your profile, I wonder?
Yes.
Oh, so if you've had 500 viewings, but no one has contacted you.
It's probably not a good feeling for
Yeah,
you.
yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
That
it
explains
can bring
my
depression
real
and,
quickly.
Yeah, well, I don't think you've been since you're married.
No, I don't do that.
But anyway, it's not been real successful like people think. And number one, if you're going to try to have a lasting relationship, you need to meet the person in face to face as soon as you can. So don't spend a lot of time trolling and that sort of thing. Find who interests you and then try to meet them face to face.
Do you remember that movie Swingers? The guy he met a girl.
I didn't see that, Brian.
He met a girl at the bar and she gave him his number. We played that audio on the show here once before. It's pretty funny. And the whole "don't call her for 2 days" kind of deal. Wait 2 days.
Yeah.
Does that rule still apply? If you were
No.
single and you were to meet somebody and you guys exchange numbers, would you think any less of him if he called you the very next day and invited you out for coffee?
I'd think more of him.
Okay.
And now, in the days of instant communication, and one thing that's changed dramatically is women don't mind calling a man now. So that's become very accepted. Women are aggressive, or can be, as well as men, and have every right to be. And so that's all accepted now. It's changed a lot.
Sure has. That's all I'm going to say on that. Very nice. How can people get these two books?
Well, they're both on Amazon, of course. They're in major bookstores. Barnes & Noble locally has, all of the Barnes & Noble have them. And so, however you'd like, I can certainly sign them. I do a lot of public speaking. Yes,
you do. And I got my book signed right here. I won't read what they say. It's all clean. I'm just kidding. But I love it. I love that you personalized that for me. And while we have a couple minutes left, how did you get into public service?
Oh, as far as local office, well, I volunteered a lot, and so a lot of people encouraged me to run for city council, which I did, and then I ran for city council in Colleyville, Texas, and then people encouraged me to run for mayor, and I did, and I enjoyed every minute of it.
Yeah. So, serving the people, right?
Yeah, it was a great experience, and actually I left public office after 6 years, feeling better about it than going into it, because I was amazed that people don't know you sometimes and yet will walk in a voting booth and vote for you. So it kind of gave me a lot of hope in
That's interesting. What do you think about the state of the economy now? I mean, we have the politics is so diverse right now. It's so divided. I guess that's the right word.
Right. Well, the economy seems to be plugging along regardless of politics. And I think politics has gotten unbelievably nasty. It's never been easy. It's called a blood sport. And the definition for politics is poly, meaning many, and ticks, blood-sucking creatures.
There you go.
So many blood-sucking creatures is how it's explained to me. But and a lot of that is true, and a lot of it's not. But politics has gotten unbelievably nasty, and there are no rules. The rules don't apply.
It's a double standard, and it's very hypocrite, which goes back to the Greek origins of the the Greek plays with a mask. It was a mask to hide the real character behind it. So,
well, I'm so glad you asked today. Today is the Ides of March, which is when Caesar was killed, of course.
That's right. That's right.
That's today.
Typically, growing up,
Stabbed in the back.
Typically, growing up in my 20s, I used to. Everything bad that happened to me happened during the Ides of March.
I'm leaving the show right now.
Yes, you are. You should. No, it's just, but I think that was, I don't know. Interesting, though, that you bring that up. So you live here, Texas?
Dallas, Texas.
You love living here, right?
Love Dallas. Love
Good
North
people?
Texas. Love Texas.
Good dating scene here?
Oh, big dating scene in Dallas. Match.com is headquartered here.
Yeah, and of course you've got so many young professionals on
and growing.
companies coming in
Yeah,
here.
growing.
Different-
Big single scene in Dallas.
Yeah, and I would imagine you got different multicultures or people around the country and around the world.
Yeah, one
Dallas.
interesting thing about the South, though, is the average age of marrying is still younger than on the coastal cities.
Okay,
Yeah, so the coastal cities now are people are average their first marriage in their 30s.
I believe that. I believe that. I think that I lived in Southern California for a good portion of my life, and one of the stats that was there was that Orange County, where I lived, was ranked number one in the country for people being reluctant to marry because it was like, if I commit to you, the next good-looking girl might walk by, or a good-looking guy, and I may miss out on them. So it's like nobody wanted to commit.
Well, that's absolutely
And that's probably
the truth.
anywhere.
And online dating has enhanced that, has made that even more important because you don't even have to look around physically. You can just go online and find somebody else.
Yeah.
So it's marriage is getting later and later for the first marriage.
Yeah. Wow. I've learned a lot this 4 o'clock hour. Phubbing.
Phubbing,
Phubbing.
absolutely.
Got
So don't
that.
be guilty of phubbing.
Yeah. Don't turn your phones down. Leave them up. Don't even, just put them away.
Well,
Men, put the phones in your jacket. Women, leave the phones in your purse.
You can do that, but another good way to handle it is both of you talk about it up front. And just set your own ground rules between the two of you.
If you go on a first date with a guy, do you expect him to pay?
I do, but I'm old-fashioned.
Okay.
So I think it really depends. I don't think the woman should force the guy to let
But
her
what
pay.
if she says, I got this? Should the guy say, no, I got this?
No, the guy should say, thank you very much. Mine's next time.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I don't think we should ever force the other person.
Yeah, well, I think it would.
It would be hard for you. You've got a little old-fashioned.
Yeah, I'm a little old-fashioned.
You're a little
there.
old-fashioned.
Yeah. I'd have a problem with her buying.
So would you grab her hand? What would you do?
I would honestly say no, and I'd take my card out and give it to the waiter and say, don't listen. And I'd look at him, don't listen to her. Here's my card.
Now, then she'd feel rejected.
I know. But then there's the side of that.
And discounted.
Discounted. There you go. A guy should open the door for a girl, right? No matter what. No matter how strong of a female that she is. And
He should make every attempt.
there you go. Because I know there was a movement that women did not want guys to open up the doors for them.
Yeah, I think they all like it. Because, come on, girls, it's just handy to have a guy open the door. You got your handbag, and, who wants to be opening the door when the guy's nice and strong and can do that?
When a guy drives a Ferrari, you think what?
I think he's desperate.
There you go. I agree. I think exotic cars make you look extremely, hey, look at me.
Oh, well, yeah.
There's a difference
Yeah.
between an S-Class Mercedes
Yeah.
and a Ferrari and a Lambo. You know what I'm saying? Like one just likes refined products.
One
the other
likes
one
luxury. The other,
exactly.
The
The
other
other-
likes,
I
show.
agree.
But, we're generalizing, too, because
I
I'm
know.
sure there's a lot of great guys that drive Ferraris, and they are beautiful. And but, we do tend to generalize in our life. And
Would a girl rather get an expensive gift or a genuine gesture?
Nowadays,
that's a tough one. What is a genuine gesture?
I don't know. Maybe it's a simple a reminder about something or a heartfelt note.
honestly, nowadays I feel like it's the expensive gift.
I
just
think,
probably so.
I think it's the expensive gift to start with. Later on, it's the gestures. When it
Good
becomes
point.
more.
Good point. I think I think that's a great point. I
Yeah.
think in a way it starts off as a gift.
Yeah.
Wow. Where else can we
As
go on
love
this?
grows, those gestures get more important.
Should you have drinks on the first date?
Drinks?
Drinks.
Oh, absolutely.
Should
if
you get
both
drunk on the
drink.
first date?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably not a good
Sex
idea.
on the first date.
By the way, I have a statistic for that.
Go ahead.
Millennials, 48% of millennials have sex before their first date. With the
There we go.
I
That's
heard you yell
interesting.
something, Brian, but I couldn't quite hear it that well.
Wow, that's an interesting stat. Yeah, I heard that millennials, they really get to the point on the dating. They know whether or not the first date, if they're going to marry the guy, go out with the guy, get intimate with the guy really quick. There's no trial, there's no 30-day test period here.
No, millennials are in a hurry, and they're used to being in a world that's in a hurry.
That's true.
And so they're very quick to make that decision and move on, one way or the other.
Dave's shaking his head. All right. For all information on all this, website for you?
DonnaArpWeitzman.com.
There you go. And we'll post up a link on our Facebook page. And
We're
we've
on
got
Twitter. We're on Instagram. All the goodies.
I love it. I got the books, and I'm going to read. Which one should I read first?
For you, Cinderella has cellulite.
Oh, you got it. I'll get a bottle of wine and read the books. As a reminder, you can always go to our website, 620 AM KEXP, for more information on this show and other shows in this fine radio network. You can follow me at Brian Glenn TV. Family friendly. Social media for you?
Social media.
Donna Weitzman.
DonnaArpWeitzman.com.
There you go. Okay, it's all the
Twitter,
same.
all of
And
it.
we're Facebook Live in this as well. And I'm going to fire up my account in Facebook Live when we come back from the break. Stick around.